Hi and welcome to episode 123 of the This is Reportage podcast. My name is Alan Law. I'm the founder of This Reportage and This Reportage family, and I'm a photographer too. After a bit of a break, I'm very happy to be back with the podcast and very excited that the fab Andy Gaines is kicking off this new series. Andy was recently our TIR #1 photographer for the UK for 2022 and second in the world overall as well, with 12 individual and 3 story awards in the year, an incredible feat. As well as being a great photographer, you'll also know him as one of the co-founders of 9 Dots, something we talk about on the episode today, as well as many other things, including immersing yourself into every wedding and shooting right to the very end of the night, why he focuses on being a great service provider to his couples and how that can improve your art, hangovers, how he went from musician to photographer, mountain, ultra running, the story behind one of his Reportage Awards, shooting his very first wedding, which was his sister's, co-founding the brilliant 9 Dots and his experience running it, our Netflix synopsis game, and so much more. Before we get on to Andy, just a few things from me, because it's the first episode in, we had a month off really, in December. It's just a super busy time for TIR and TIRF with all the kind of end of year kind of rankings, and the final awards collections as well, and Christmas and holidays and everything, and having to see my family as well, which I love to see, obviously. I don't mean having to see my family, you know what I mean. But it's such a busy time with it. I'm in the party as well, so I had to have a bit of a break from the podcast, but yeah, it's awesome to be back. I hope everyone had a lovely Christmas and New Year wherever in the world you are, whether that was working or just enjoying lots of Yule logs. I love Yule log. Yule log is amazing. And watching Christmas films, romantic Christmas films, the best, awesome. And Groundhog Day, even though it's not a Christmas film, watch that again because it feels like a Christmas film and it's one of my favourite films. But anyway, I hope you all had a great time. Thanks to everyone who came to This Reportage and This Reportage family Christmas party in London. Oh, it was such a fab night. Absolutely loved it. We had, there was awful weather around it. There's snow everywhere. A couple of people that coming from Ireland had their flight cancelled, so they obviously couldn't come. 2 people that were coming from Holland, their flight was cancelled on the morning and they got a train across. I mean, that is dedication. That's amazing. Elsa and Louisa, thank you so much for making that effort coming. It was fab to see from people there from all over Europe come along. And just thanks to everyone making the effort, because I know travelling is hard in the best of times, but with all that snow around as well, it was just awesome. As I say, it was on a boat, a moored boat, but still I didn't realise that you'd be able to feel the movement of it. So yeah, note to self, don't organise a party on a boat again, because every time I would notice the boat move a bit, it would make me feel a bit nauseous, and so I had to, I felt like drinking a bit more would help, and maybe it did, but anyway, yes, I'm not going to do it on a boat again. But thanks everyone who came. Such a fab night. Really, really loved it. And we'll definitely be doing it again. It was awesome. What else with me? Personally, I've got a couple of my own workshops, law school workshops coming up. The London date is sold out, but I'm doing one in Dublin, Ireland, the day before Doc Day, which, even if you have no interest in coming to my workshop, you've got to come to Doc Day. It's just a brilliant 1-day documentary wedding photography workshop conference, amazing, run by Kevin Kafash and Annie Kafash. It's their baby. Such a great thing, and it's an honor for me to partner with it as This Reportage. And yeah, it's such a fab event, so really do come to that. My workshop's still got a few places left the day before Doc Day, so if you come along to that, we can then go to the kind of like evening pre-drinks all together afterwards. Just a few spaces left. If you head to alanlawphotography.co.uk, you can book onto that if you want to come and see me in real life, if you're not fed up with my voice now. But as I say, even if you're not coming to that, do come to Doc Day. Amazing event. And the last thing before going on to Andy is that the awards deadline for both This Reportage and This Reportage family is just days away now. It's the first awards of the year. It's the most important one, I guess, if you really want to be on that top 100s list or top 10 by country, because it's a whole new awards year now. So if you submit to the very first collection, you have the best chance of getting in those lists, if that's of interest to you. Of course, not for everyone. Some people join communities like Reportage and others for lots of other reasons. But if the awards is your thing, then yeah, important to submit to that first one. The deadline is 23:59 GMT on the 24th of January 2023. Right, enough from me. Over to Mr. Gaines. Hey Andy, how you doing?
Hey Alan, how's it going? I'm good, thank you, man. I'm good. Thanks for having us.
Oh, cool. Thank you for coming on. Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good as well. Good as well. Did you have a good Christmas, New Year?
Yeah, all right, thank you. Just the same old, seeing family for a couple of days, and ate too much cheese. I'm currently carrying around a little cheese baby in my tummy that I'm gonna have to get rid of somehow soon. But other than that, yeah, it was great, man. Thank you. What about you?
Yeah.
Good?
Yes, all fine. Good, thanks. Yep. Saw my family as well. They cooked for us on Christmas Day, which is always nice. Did your family cook for you?
My mum and dad cooked for us, which was good. Like we usually take it in turns, but so this year was like, this is like so generic. It was their go, so we went to their house, which was fine, and they insisted on it. But obviously, every time we do that, they end up just bickering in the kitchen too much. I think it's like when we were kids again, with the family comes home for Christmas, so it's fine. Like we all had a good time, but I think that they sometimes maybe don't have as much a good time as they think they were going to have when they have us around. But anyway, it was all good. No one killed each other. Everyone's here,
That's always a plus when the same amount of people survive it as went into it. Now that's all good.
The same number of people left as arrived. So
yes, that's
all you can hope for in these troubled times. It's all you can hope for.
And did you have a big New Year or a quiet one? What did you do?
No, it was mellow. It was going to be bigger than it was, but then loads of friends got struck down with COVID, so we ended up having like quite a mellow one. But we went to some friend's house like last minute, drank too much beer, came, as usual. Nothing wild though. Getting too old for this sort of stuff now, Alan. It is.
No. Have you found that hangovers have got worse though? Or you never seem to be affected by hangovers though? Or do you?
I'm just a great actor. Yeah. No, my hangovers are getting debilitatingly worse.
Oh, really, yeah.
Really worse. I've learned to get better though. Like, because obviously, we've seen each other at things like Nine Dots and other conferences and other boozy photography events and stuff. And I'm learning to calm down a bit. Like, I try and avoid the shots. Once the shots come out, then I know it's always game over next day. So I've learned to avoid shots as much as I can.
That's probably good advice. That's pretty good advice.
For any of the listeners out there.
Yeah, avoid the shots. It's got worse for me as well, it really has. And I've got this weird thing now where I just kind of, after a big night of drinking, I still wake up about 5 o'clock, 5:30, and I can't get back to sleep, and that just makes it all the worse as well. Worse.
Yeah. Don't sleep well. Yeah, exactly that. And then spend all day just more tired than hungover. And,
It sucks, doesn't it, man? It does suck. You said about your cheese baby, though. You do I was going to ask you later on, actually. I might as well ask you now, because you do loads of outdoor exercise and climbing and camping and stuff, don't you? And you also say in your bio that you do mountain ultra running, which sounds completely knackering. So tell us more about that.
Well, the thing is, I do a lot of that stuff. And this last year, I did more than that probably than I've done ever, really. Just because I had a few challenges and runs that I really wanted to do. So I spent a lot of the last year, the year before and last year, the first half of last year, training for them, and then did that in kind of summer. And obviously when you're training, I was running quite a lot, doing kind of maybe 40-mile weeks, really? Lots of running and things building up, and eating quite a lot, obviously to fuel all that. And then as I sort of I got busy with weddings and eased down off the running, but I didn't really ease down on the whole eating and fueling thing. So for the last few months, I've kind of, I've lost some of that fitness. But so I do a lot of, I've lost the fitness and gained a cheese baby. But I do a lot of running and climbing and outdoory kind of stuff. That's
what is mountain ultra running?
Running distances longer than a marathon in the mountains, I guess. So for me, it's I really just love, I've always just been into the hills and the mountains. So I've always rock climbed a lot and camped a lot and spent days up there. And then last few years just got into running a lot, so fell running and long distance trail running and big stuff in Scotland and the Lake District and that kind of thing. And it's good.
That's hardcore though, man. I mean, I've done really. Wow, it is. I mean, it is, man. Running, I did one half marathon about 10 years ago, and that killed me. I can't imagine running marathon type distances or longer over such mega hilly mountains. Yeah. But that's mental.
The hilly bit makes it good though, right? So I've done a few marathons, road marathons, and they're hard because that's just it's just monotonously brutal for however many hours it takes you, just pounding the pavement at the constant thing. Whereas once you get into the hills and you get off the paths and things, the variety makes it way easier, I think. So you end up with, you can't run all the uphills, so you'll maybe walk some of the uphills or power hike the uphills, or maybe you'll be doing some scrambling with your hands, and then there'll be a flat downhill or a fast downhill bit that you can recover. So you're using loads of different. It's really varied, and so you're using loads of different like muscles and strengths on and off throughout the day, which I just find way easier than like just like hammering a pavement for like 4 hours or whatever it takes, you know?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's true. Are you generally doing it on your own then, or do you do it with other people?
Sometimes with, a few people I go with, but usually by myself. Makes me sound like a bit of a weird loner now. But just like I just really love like big days out running through the mountains by myself.
Yeah, well, no, but that sounds good. And they say even just like walking is good for your mental health. So doing stuff like that must be good.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. And a few years ago, like we got a camper van. And so where we're based up in York, like I can get out to sort of the Lake District in a couple of hours, or Scotland in maybe 3 or 4 hours, or, you know, and just cool. To jump in the van by myself and then head over there, sleep somewhere in the van, and then have like a really big day out and come back to the van and stuff. It's good. Yeah. It's my little escape. And so this year, just the way I'm shooting a lot less weddings now. We're supposed to be talking about weddings, aren't we?
Well, no, sorry. Everyone's like, this is not a running podcast. What's going on here? Yeah.
Go for about 10 minutes. So I've mentioned the word wedding, but this year, like we've been shooting less and less weddings as sort of time's gone on. And so this year, just the way it fell, I ended it with a really quiet, like early summer, like May and June and July were all really quiet. And so, which was awesome. It just meant I had loads more time. So I just seemed to spend, a lot of last year running around the hills.
Well, that's great though, isn't it? Well, that's what everyone's goal is, that kind of work-life balance. And that's what, we're not here.
Yeah. Well, I think last year was like probably one of the best years we've managed to nail the work-life balance thing. I think this year coming up, I think we've maybe gone a bit too little work, I think, but it's fine. It's all good.
It's tougher times though, isn't it? Well, I think we've seen it everywhere. It just seemed harder this year. It does seem harder.
It's crazy times. I mean, there's, you've still got the hangover from COVID and the pandemic and lockdown weddings and postponements. And then obviously the cost of living crisis is coming up. And the thing that's weird though, is I always find is like, obviously because you'll know with your community, like this is Reportage community, and obviously I run 9 Dots and I'm involved with that community, so you kind of see a lot of photographers, and I can't see how there can be less weddings happening this year, right?
No, that's true, I guess.
So someone must be doing the work. it's just
why can't it be us?
It's just not me as much as it maybe would have been. I don't know.
Funny, isn't it? No, I don't know either. You talked about the camper van as well. Do you ever use it for like the night before weddings? Instead of staying at Premier Inn.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's the only car we've got, so it's what I take to, unless I'm flying or on the train or hiring a car. It's the car we're going. So I stay in it. I don't think I've ever stayed in it the night before a wedding. Just because, I mean, with the best will in the world, I'm not the sort of smartest kind of well-turned-out guy. So I think starting from the baseline of camping in a van, it's going to be, it's hard to like get to that wedding-ready state. Whereas, I always like, usually I'll stay in a travel lodge, Premier Inn or whatever the night before, and then the van the night of the wedding. So after the wedding finishes, then I can just crawl depending on the venue and depending where, I'll just crawl back to the van and sleep in the car park.
That is handy though, isn't it? Because you also, great. I mean, I remember, I'm sure you said ages ago, and I've seen it before, you stay really late, don't you, at weddings?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you stay right to the end.
Literally, I don't think I've never left a wedding before, while there's a guest there, but literally I'm like one of the last people at the door. So, which a lot of people, some people are like, oh, awesome. And a lot of people are like, idiot.
Well, who cares what they think though? Who cares?
For sure.
Your couples they must love that though. They must love it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's good. It's like a double-edged sword though, because obviously, I've taught a lot of photographers over the years now, and obviously I tell them that, and it's a double-edged sword because sometimes it's great and it really makes the footage is amazing. It gives some of the best pictures are right at the end of the night, and other times they're not. And so, when the couple knows you should be staying to the end and there's literally nothing happening, you're like, wow, it's 8:00. We've only got 5 hours to go.
Oh, man. I would find that really tough. I really would. I would.
Yeah. But no, as a rule, it has always been a big sell. And I think, I don't know, it's hard in this industry because everyone's trying to out creative each other or outperform each other. And I think if you're willing to outwork everybody, that's like a big plus. I think, you know what I mean? That's the work is where you're gonna putting the work in is going to get the results. So just kind of
That's so
having
true.
it's just a mindset thing, I suppose. Like I'm gonna work really hard to the end of the night, and then hopefully that kind of just that approach that filters through to the result, I guess,
Well, it definitely does for you, though, man. You're rocking it. You've won like every award going and totally rocking it. Do you find? I just thought I wish I could. I'm getting old, man. I'm getting older.
Yeah, there is that.
Yeah, I don't think I could. I find I do 10 hours. Really, is my longest. Sometimes people will add an hour or so, but generally not more. And I find 10 hours.
Part-timer.
So what is your average kind of day? How many hours?
I don't know. On average, I guess I start about 9 and usually finish about 12, half 12, maybe.
That's like 15, nearly 16 hours.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair though, like I said, like, so, like a lot of people, we've kind of slowly been reducing how many we shoot these days. So I think last year we did 18 or 19, which was perfect.
That's nice, yeah.
But, back in the day, kind of when we were starting out, like I was shooting like 40, 50 weddings a year. And, I was doing like that same timetable, like same number of hours, but doing like triple headers. And that's just horrible. That's just insane. After you shot like on the fourth wedding at the row with like 4 hours sleep in between them, it's like it's like being in the Matrix, where all you just see the wedding in like in f stops and like shutter speeds, everything, like you become one with weddings. It's
yeah, that's funny. Yeah, so I guess it must be easier now. That's a more manageable number of weddings, like 18, 19, 20. That's cool. Yeah, I do similar amount now as well. It's nice. It's
good, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. But still, so do you just because I think some people would be interested, with staying right to the end. Are you like constantly working, constantly photographing during those later hours, or do you put the camera down for a bit and like chat to guests and stuff? How do you?
Yeah, I mean, it's like a combination of both. Like you're always kind of. I mean, you're maybe not working as much as you've always got your camera up against your eyeball, but you've always got a camera in your hand, and you're always on the lookout for a picture. But I guess but you'll know sometimes those pictures present themselves because you start having a chat with a guest, and or you start getting into conversations with people, and that kind of gets the ball rolling with maybe things that might turn into photographs or whatever, But yeah, always working, and I just think, and if not. Like actually taking pictures, just if there's literally nothing happening, just maybe looking for interesting shots or finding new viewpoints or I don't really do many portraits, but maybe like go and see if I can find the potential for some fancy nighttime shiny shit photograph.
Yeah.
So always working really, and and I don't really do anything. I never bring like a laptop to back up the cards or anything like that, so yeah, just making pictures really.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. I just think it's always something that people are really interested about as well. As do you have a drink and like party with them?
Yeah, always.
Yeah,
I think
cool.
I think when I remember years and years ago I was doing some mentoring with Ben Chrisman, like way back in the day, and one of the things he always said that always struck with me is like whatever they're doing, like just get stuck into that, so whatever that might be, if they're doing tequila shots, do the tequila shots, and if they're jumping in the swimming pool, get in the swimming pool.
Have you done that? Have you got in the pool?
Yeah.
With the camera in hand.
I kept out of the water. No, I've not gone as far as the underwater housings yet. But yeah, like just whatever, like what because that's how you photograph the weddings from like the inside out. That's how you get the pictures. So just immersing yourself in whatever it is they're doing, whether that But I guess, so in the evening, that applies to the party and the drinking and the dancing and all the rest of it. But I guess it also applies to, like, in the morning.
Having a manicure in the morning and stuff.
That's it, yeah. I get my hair done.
I can picture that. That'd be funny.
You've seen the state of me. Sometimes I need it. But I know. But I mean, like, I guess maybe not so much getting involved, but just making sure, if I guess it's just aligning yourself with like the mood or the feeling in the space that you're in,
Oh yeah, it totally makes sense. Yeah.
I'm not doing the tequila shots during the ceremony because no one else is doing the tequila shots.
No, that would be slightly boring.
But if they were, then, if that was the kind of ceremony they were having. Yeah.
No, I think that's totally cool, man, to be totally immersing yourself in what you are capturing as well. It totally makes sense. It really does.
Yeah.
Very cool. And I guess that's the way, because, some people, if they're maybe new to documentary, or I guess any one of us could think of it, that sometimes to be really good documentary photographer, you just have to be a fly in the wall and not be.
Oh, yeah, it's just bullshit.
Yeah. So I imagine that's not the way you work at all.
No. That's like, it's like the thing in it, like hiding in the bushes with my camo on, trying to capture some moments and stuff. Yeah. So always, well, like a lot of people work, just get in with the action and, being part of the wedding rather than on the outside looking in,
Yeah, that's very cool. Have you always from the beginning? I know, because I'm going to talk about, let's talk about that. I just wondered if you when you did first start shooting your weddings right at the beginning, that were you always that like just getting into the party and into it, or did you start differently?
No, I think it was. Sorry, go what you're saying.
No, I was just going to say, but let's just go back to your whole origin anyway. Let's talk about your first.
Let's rewind.
Yeah, let's go back like 10, 15 years, Andy, because your life before photography was music, wasn't it? Can you tell us more about that and how you got into weddings? Yeah,
it feels a long time ago now. Bloody hell.
It is a long time, man.
It is so long. So I used to. So yeah, I came in. I used to, before weddings, was a musician. So after uni, finished uni with a degree, but didn't know what to do with it, and played music at the time. Astrophysics.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So not quite music related.
No, not at all. So I'm like a nerdy scientist. Underneath this idiotic exterior, I'm a nerdy scientist, deep down. But so finished uni and played music with some guys from uni, and none of us had like jobs to go to after uni as such. We didn't have like plans, so we let's take a gap year out and just keep playing music.
Which uni was that? Sorry, you went to?
To Durham.
Durham. Oh, pretty nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really amazing. Had a nice time there. Didn't do much work, but anyway.
No, that's not what uni's for, is it?
Exactly, mate. Exactly. And so did that. Came out of uni, and we were like, let's just take a gap year before we get real careers and play some music for a bit. And the gap year kind of turned into like a gap decade of playing gigging and music and living in a house together and being in a band and writing songs. And we then set up like a record label and ran club night.
Own label.
Yeah, only a tiny independent thing, but just doing anything to kind of avoid the real world, if you like. And but it was great, like the time of my life, and we did so much and had an amazing time. And then that kind of came to an end, and I had.
What were you doing, by the way? What were you doing? Were you singing and playing guitars? Are we?
Yeah, singing and playing guitar. That was my thing, and like writing songs and
cool. What were you called?
I was in a few bands. I was in a band called Cardboard Radio for a few years, and a band called the Runaway Sons, and worked with a few other bands in and around York and things, kind of producing records and recording them, and just all sorts of stuff, really.
That's really cool, man. I love that.
But now it was absolutely amazing time, really good, and it was a good time as well for like being in a band with guitars in like the mid 2000s and mid noughties.
Yeah.
It was like, a lot of the bands coming up, there was like White Stripes, Libertines, Arctic Monkeys, all that kind of scene was around. So it was great to be in a sort of DIY type of band then. And then that kind of came to an end because I thought, people started to grow up and get jobs and things. And then, so I moved in with my girlfriend, who is now my wife and boss. And, and then we had a baby, and then and then I kind of started getting more into photography. I'd always had a camera and stuff and been into photography a little bit. And then, like it's the same old story. Then one day my sister was getting married, and I was like, I can photograph your wedding.
What? Did you say it? Did you suggest it to her? Did you?
No. I've told this story a lot, but I basically went to stay with a school friend of mine, and he was seeing this girl, and he'd been seeing this girl, and he was like, oh, mate, you should. I didn't know the music had come to an end, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself. And he was like, you've got a camera and you like photography. You want to chat to my girlfriend. And I was like, oh, why? And she said, yeah, literally, she started photographing weddings. And last weekend she went to this wedding. She made £2,000 for one day's work. And I was like, ka-ching. I could see myself doing that. So I got chatting to her, and she was like, yeah, you should do it. So I just did. Basically went into it for the money, pure.
Well, yeah, and there's no wrong in that though.
But it's funny because obviously two things happened. Like I very quickly realized that turns out it's not quite as simple as £2,000 for one day's work.
Yeah.
I did the math. I was like, wow, well, there's 365 days in the year, and I can make £2,000 every day, so I could do that.
That's a lot.
So yeah, I quickly realized that A, it's not going to make you that much money, and B that like it's so much more than the money. Like, I actually loved the whole event. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
Like, instantly, really. Like, I got into it thinking I could make some money, but the moment I started to dig into what wedding photography was, then, I kind of realized that, this is actually a genuinely amazing thing to do. And
that's cool. Yeah, because did you have like any idea before doing your first wedding that it could be like so creative and different? Did you just think this is just traditional wedding photography?
No, I think I did think it was. I was always, because this was like, when did you start shooting?
Yeah, 2012 was my first one. So.
Right, yeah. So mine was like 2011ish. So at that time there was, I don't even know if these names mean anything, but at the time there was definitely a sort of, just from Google researching, there definitely seemed to be a kind of new wave of photographers that were kind of pushing out old school photography at the time. There was people like Jonas Peterson and Jeff Newsom, who it's basically like Sam Hurd. Sam Hurd is like love child. I guess that's true. Those people that don't remember Jeff Newsom, but people like that would do like creative. The Chrismans were around, and people like Ryan Brenizer, just people that were all around the world and doing like interesting and creative and I guess modern quote unquote photography at the time. And that they were definitely.
And seeing Fair Caristi's work around that time as well. That was
like Fair. Yeah, there's a million people that I could keep mentioning, but exactly those kind of people. So I was definitely drawn to doing that modern kind of stuff. But the weird thing is as well with that, it's like, that was the thing that got me into it. I guess almost the gimmicks. Do you know what I mean? Like the idea of making fancy pictures that would impress other photographers was kind of something that appealed to me at the start, but again, the moment you work that out, or once you push past that, you realize, they're just a waste of time as well, really. Those kind of, do you know what I mean? Those kind of pictures. Yeah. Once you start peeling back the layers of what photography is and what wedding photography can be and the value that it can have, then you start to kind of dig deeper and deeper into the soul of it, if you like, and then you kind of start to arrive at a place of like actual value and depth. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Once you push past all the Instagram gimmicks and all that, you know what I mean, and all that kind of stuff that gets likes on Facebooks and whatever.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the catch-22 about it, though, isn't it? It's all that kind of stuff that gets all the bloody publicity and all the attention.
Yeah. And I think, and it was the case then, and it's the case. It was ever thus, it's the case. It's still the case, exactly.
Yeah, which is a bit of a sad way of the world.
But it is what it is, right? And it's I guess always just trying to like balance that seesaw of, well, what do you value and what's important and what's the real value that you can bring with your work and with your business versus what do you have to do to get the work in the business? And sometimes what you have to do to get the work in the business is not always, you can't get
up what you want to do.
Exactly. Yeah. So kind of like balancing that has basically been my life struggle for the past 12 years.
No, I get that though. Yeah, I totally get that. And so was it actually your sister's wedding was the first one you shot?
Yeah.
Is she still your sister? Of course she's still your sister.
Yeah. No, we divorced at the end of the year. And she didn't die. No, she's still my sister. And she's still my sister. We're friends. Yeah, it was good. But it was one of those things where she was probably one of those brides that potentially maybe wouldn't have even got a photographer. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I guess like now you'll be maybe the similar. A lot of people listening will be the same. Like we work with some people who hugely value wedding photography and they're willing to drop thousands of pounds, or they've even decided on their photographer before they've even got the husband. You know what I mean? Like some people are really invested in it as a thing, but then there's bazillions of other people out there that don't care less about wedding photography. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just not a thing. And I think, my sister was probably more in that camp. So when I said, I'll photograph your wedding, I'll do it for free, she was probably like, oh, bonus.
yeah. Save me a few £100. Yeah.
To be fair though, I mean, like, there's a handful of pictures from that wedding that they're good. They're all right.
Are they on your portfolio on the website now?
I mean, I wouldn't go that far. There's also some absolute shockers. but
were you scared? How did you do any second shooting or anything beforehand? No, or just went straight into that?
No, that went straight into that.
Yeah,
that was literally the first. I mean, it was fine. You learn. I think one of the things is, everyone knows this. The big skill is being able to adapt quick and learn. Go with the flow, if you like. If you've got the more preconceived ideas you've got of what you're hoping to do or what you hope's going to happen or what you think you might be able to get away with, the more of them you've got, the more you set yourself up for fall. So I've always, I guess, been quite good at winging it, and so just have confidence that
you wung it well.
Yeah, I wung it well. And,
were you scared? Were you nervous?
Not really.
No, I can't. Man, I so wish I could be like that. I don't know. Well, you're not even, because I'd be even more stressed, I think, that it was my own family's wedding. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know. I mean, it's a long time ago now, isn't it? It's like I can't remember. Maybe I blocked it out. Maybe I was bricking it. I can't remember.
Where was it? Where was your first? Was it summer? Was it a winter wedding? Was it?
It was in. Bloody hell! I can't remember now. It's spring, I think.
Okay, cool.
Spring. Oh, hang on, Abigail. You what? It wasn't 2030. It's the wrong year. Anyway, sorry. Abigail's trying to tell me, but she's got the wrong year. No, it was wintry. It was like spring and cold, and it was in like a mansion down in Surrey, like a big house in Surrey.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, people's had expectations were low, and it was it was all fine. And then.
I was going to say from then, how did you, did you realize then that you enjoyed it and you were good at it and just kind of went for it? How did you start your business from there?
No, I mean, I wouldn't say I didn't say I realized I was good at it, but I just knew that was just something that had to be done to get going. Do you know what I mean? It was like, right, done a first wedding now, got some pictures, try and make a website, put the picture, try and find some new people to con that I know, I know to con into booking me. And then, I think I reached out to a guy in York who was a photographer, and he was really kind and met me for a beer and let me tag along to a couple of weddings cool. With him. So then I got a couple more, and then I think I booked my first wedding. Then, I booked my first wedding on Gumtree, I think.
Oh, really? Wow, nice. Do you remember how much you were charging back then, Andy? What was your first?
I think they paid me £200, something like that.
Nice
for the first wedding.
Nice.
I think so. Yeah.
A bit more expensive now.
I mean, maybe not for this year. I might have to pay the prices then. But yeah, I'm happy to say that I quickly, well, not that quickly, but yeah, I understood the value of charging appropriately for your services, and slowly that went up. And here I am, half a dozen weddings later.
I asked something then, which I said, did you shot your sister's wedding, and did you realize you were good, and that's what you wanted to go forwards for? And you said no, you didn't realize you were good. And it's actually quite a good question, I think. And that I'm not saying no, I don't mean I just asked a good question. That's good, but I mean, was that
well done, Alan? Pat yourself on the back.
No, but it's something I don't know I've ever asked before, and it's actually quite interesting. Is that was there a point in your career that you realized you were good at it, yourself? Was there something that made you realize you were good at it, or has that never happened? Like me, I don't still think I'm good at it. It's so weird, isn't it? It's just so weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we are. We must be all right at it. We must be.
But then, yeah. Like again, this is the stuff I kind of like. I kind of like agonize over a lot. It's like, what is that? Like, what is good for who, and what does that even mean? And I think. You've always got, I make work now that my clients appear to really like, which is great. But I come back from weddings and I think I've done, I still think I've done a dreadful job, and I edit the pictures and I'm like, oh my God, I've messed this wedding up, like there's, how am I going to explain this? Am I going to have to, like, even now, like, but it turns out that most, they always seem to like it. And so I don't know, like, it's weird because then obviously then you get there's external validation that we can get as photographers in the industry. Like you can win awards, or you can be nominated for a prize, or you can, whatever. But then what does that mean again? Like, it doesn't mean anything, like, so no. I don't know. I mean, there's definitely been, I remember a couple of weddings early on where I got in the car at the end and I was like, I felt good. Like, I thought, man, I did good today. But only, I think, looking back, only in this idea that I'd kind of maybe achieved this like arbitrary standard of stuff that I was trying to do, which was based on the people I was looking at the time. These are the photographers. So again, it's the nightmare trap of being sucked into like the social media and what people put out, is that you sit on the computer all day looking at work that other people have made and you wish you could have made for whatever reason. I don't know why that's what you think, right? You're like, man, I wish I could make those pictures.
Oh yeah.
And then so you agonize how you do that, and you try and break it down, and you try and learn how to make those pictures in whatever way. And then you go to your wedding, and then you try and make those pictures. And then if you think you've pulled off making those kind of pictures, you can leave the wedding patting yourself on the back. But ultimately, so I definitely had a few of those moments early on. But really, like, you start to learn that's like you're on a hide into nothing. Then like you're just trying to please yourself, which sometimes is good. But really, I think I got past that after shooting for a couple of years and really started to focus on, and I know it sounds so cliched, but just started to focus on the couples and what I think they wanted, rather than being the kind of selfish, I'm a photographer and this is the art I want to make. I quickly realized that for me anyway, like that was like just a route to bullshit. Whereas once you kind of put the couples in the central thing and think, right, like, how can I serve those people? Suddenly a lot of stuff that I'd wanted to do before, that I was kind of trying to do and measuring as a benchmark of my own success, because like I'd made this kind of shot, or I'd got a photo that looked a bit like his photo or her photo. Once you kind of stop trying to do that and you think, well, how can I serve these guys? Then you've suddenly got a whole different level of to grade yourself against, a whole different bar of things to measure yourself up against.
Which is a lot healthier as well.
Yeah, way healthier and way better for the clients and way better for the business. And I think you make way more important pictures, but all that stuff about impressing people online starts to become a lot harder to do. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's the same, that kind of balance. Like, you go, if you abandon doing one thing, you end up, you sacrifice to some extent some of that stuff, I think, and it's hard to like weigh those up. I don't know if that makes sense, but
no, it does.
I'm trying to say in my head, but
it does. It totally makes sense, man. Yeah, I totally agree. It totally makes sense. And that whole thing about looking at other, I mean, we have to now look at other people's work so much as well, because we're both kind of running communities. And stuff. And I found personally, I have to say, for me, I was always looking at loads of photography before starting Reportage, but then I found it personally knocked my confidence starting Reportage. Looking at all these bloody amazing work all the time and having to do everything, and then but comparing it to my own work, it kind of knocked my confidence. I don't know how you felt with starting 9 Dots. Did that ever have an effect on your work?
Yeah, no, I mean, maybe different for you, because obviously, this is Reportage that obviously we're on right now. Like, that was obviously primarily an awards thing, right, from the get-go. So you like, I guess for you that's it's pretty tough. Like, hey world, send me the best pictures you've ever made. Planet Earth, and let me beat myself with a birch stick while I look at them. Whereas like the 9 Dots kind of grew differently. So that started from us teaching workshops, but then also with like the 9 Dots gathering was bringing in these great photographers, and so obviously they were coming in to teach. And so initially from us doing 9 Dots, like, it was positive in that regard, because I learned loads and managed to meet some of these amazing photographers from all around the world, and they would share stuff with me and other members in the community. And so in that regard, it was definitely good. But generally, from looking at other people's work, like, when I started working photography, it was seeing all that fancy work and working out how I could make it that was the inspiration to me. That was the thing that kind of pushed me on. Whereas, like, the longer you've been doing it, seeing wedding photography, you've kind of seen it all, right? There's, and that sounds jaded and cynical, and I don't mean it to be jaded and cynical, but like once you've seen 1,000 versions of essentially the same picture, right? Like but that's the thing, right? As a third party, like as a person observing who had no connection with the wedding or the photographer, like, yeah, it's just like whatever, it just washes over you almost. Whereas that's kind of what I was saying before, is that when you start putting, as a photographer, when your focus is on the couples themselves, then everything that you're making for them, it becomes super important, because really you're only making it for them or their guests and their friends and their family. And so that is where I get most excited about now. As a photography as a service purely to the couples and their guests, rather than as a way to wave your willy in public about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's yes, and it's good not doing the actual physical waving willy in public bit.
That's definitely to be avoided. Yeah. That's definitely. That's my number one. If anyone wants a tip, don't do that. Yeah.
Matt Cotton, you mentioned 9 Dots there, which obviously also, and we will talk about that in a minute, but I just want to let's go. Let's have a bit of change of tack, Andy. Should we change tack a bit?
Let's do it.
Okay, so I don't know if you listened to the podcast before or not, but I recently, that's cool. Over the past year, I've been doing a little Netflix, little quiz. We're going to keep doing it because people might hate it, but I enjoy doing it. So no, I don't know. Hopefully, people enjoy playing it along at home. So yes, do you watch much telly or movies?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Okay.
No, in an evening, usually like something. I don't watch any TV. Like I don't own a TV. Does anyone have TVs these days?
What, like you mean like live TV, like with adverts?
Like a television, I don't know, like a television.
How do you watch TV? What do you watch on your computer or something?
Like on an iPad sometimes. But we've got like a projector with like I've got a projector fixed up. It's got like all the business expense on it for doing workshops.
It's true though. That is
saying.
That's true. We just bought a new telly. I could say, yes, it is for my homework.
Yeah. So no, do watch like Netflix and Disney and all that kind of stuff with the kids, Disney Plus.
Well, cool. Yes, we've got Disney Plus. Well, that's good. Okay, cool. Well, that's good. So, if anyone's listening at home, I'm going to ask Andy like a synopsis of a movie or a season or something, and we're going to see if you can get it from the synopsis. Okay, you ready?
Do it. Let's do it.
Okay. So this first one is something that's been on recently, and okay. So it might not be Netflix. It might be other kind of TV or something as a clip. Anyway,
I could limit my knowledge because we don't subscribe to that many of those things.
Oh yeah. Okay. He's putting the excuses in. Okay. So it's okay. Get them before they get you. 22 strangers, one castle, £120,000. Claudia Winkleman hosts the ultimate reality game of trust and treachery.
I believe that's described in the next 9 Dots gathering. No, I don't know. No, that's some. I heard a radio show about that the other day. That's how boring I am. There was a radio. I heard a show on Radio 4.
Radio 4. I was gonna. No, was it really Radio 4? Yeah.
It was on Radio 4, and I was driving to a wedding, and they were talking about. Is it called like Traitor or something?
That's it. The Traitors. Well done. Yes. Boom. Good. Get in there. Have you not watched it at all? No.
Nah.
It's actually really good. Honestly, it's really good. It's really good.
Is it though?
It is, honestly, it was. It was great. I love reality TV in general, though.
Oh, no.
I do. I love it. Love it.
Yeah, fuck that.
I love it. Honestly, do you not watch Love Island then? You're not a big Love Island fan?
No, dude.
I love it. It's so good.
Like someone does it look like is that show aimed at me? I don't know.
I know, but were you never a Big Brother fan either?
No.
Oh, man. No, I love all that. I just love it.
Oh, well. Really, that's good. Yeah. That's the life's wondrous variety. That's what makes it so great, eh?
It's true.
You can enjoy watching Love Island, and I can not.
I think a new season starts next week, so I'm quite excited. Ooh, but anyway,
exciting.
Yeah. Okay. Let's 1 out of 1 so far. It's good. Let's go on to your second one. So this one is a lot older movie. Okay, or film. I don't know why I say movie. It's film. But anyway. Okay. So a team of commandos on a mission in a Central American jungle find themselves hunted by an extraterrestrial warrior.
Predator.
Yes, boom, well done. Nice.
I remember that one from being a child.
Yes, that was kind of Arnie in our youth, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was the sort of thing that was always around when I was too young to watch it.
Yes.
So that was one of those things that you desperately want to see, or your mates at school would talk about that they claimed they'd seen it, but they obviously never had. You know what I mean? Like they hadn't.
I remember specifically another Arnie film that was that for me. That was The Running Man. Did you ever see that?
Yes.
Yeah. That as a kid, all my friends said they watched that, and so my parents let me watch the first 10 minutes, and that guy's head gets blown up. And
I was going to say, is that the one where his head explodes?
Yeah, when he's like trying to escape the prison or whatnot, and then I just cried my eyes out, and they turned it off. So,
yeah. Should have listened to your parents.
I know. Yeah, I don't know why they let me watch it. It was in 18.
Shocking behaviour, really.
Yes, I'm gonna have a word with them. Okay, so this is good, man. 2 out of 2. So, okay, your third one. This is a hard one. I always do a bit harder one on the third one. Okay, this is a more recent film. I think it was released like last year or something. Okay, so an aging Chinese immigrant is swept up in an insane adventure where she alone can save the world by exploring other universes, connecting with the lives she could have led.
I mean, it doesn't sound very realistic, does it?
It's not really.
But I've got no. Yeah, that's why it's fake. That's why it's a movie. Yeah, I've got no idea.
No, cool. Okay, it's called Everything Everywhere All at Once.
That's just won loads of. That was in the news, right? That's won a.
Yeah, I think it has.
That's picked up loads of awards, like.
I think so.
Film awards. I don't know what they call Oscars. I don't know.
I think it has. I only watched half of it. I was watching it on the plane and like we were landing or whatnot, but it was good.
I hate that when you start watching. Yeah. You got it. You always got to make sure you always check the remaining flight time before you settle down. Nothing worse than
that is a good tip. That's the best tip, isn't it? That's gonna be the best tip of this whole podcast episode.
Yeah. It's a B-rate travel tip from Andy Gaines. Don't know anything about weddings or photography, but
that's fine. Actually, a nice little segue. I think while I'm just talking about travel. But by the way, 2 out of 3. That was really good. That's good. So well done, Andy. That's good.
Thank you.
But let's go because you talked about traveling there. You've done loads of destination weddings all over the world, and so yeah. Do you remember how? A lot of people are really interested in them. That some people really want to get their first one. Do you remember how you got your first? And are destinations something that you still want to do going forward?
Yeah, so how did I get my first one? I mean, again, the same thing. I mean, probably like most people, I think. I did my first one in 2013, I think. So I've been shooting a couple of years, and just like everybody, you want to shoot destination weddings. I think maybe more so then than now. Like the destination wedding photographer badge was like, I think that was really deemed as like the ultimate mark of a master. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you could say that's what you were, again, and so I think I did my first one, same thing. I don't even know how I was.
How did you get it?
I don't know if it's just a normal inquiry or maybe like someone referral from a friend. I think, back in the day, I think, well, you were probably there. We used to be in like those, different photography groups and stuff with a lot of similar photographers like you and me, and who else was that kind of. People like Sam Docker, who were, that kind of all started at the same sort of time. And I think we just used to share inquiries and maybe got it through there or something. But again, it was like a lot of things, you get it. And I did it on the cheap because that was the only way you could, they were getting married in the south of France. They still only had less than £1,000 or whatever to spend, like standard. So
my first destination wedding was south of France as well. Sorry to say, as a coincidence.
Oh, nice. Do you know? I can't remember. I think that the one I'm thinking of was my first one. Did
it go well? Did you have sunshine? I've had loads of rain on mine.
Oh yeah, mate. I'm always joking about my couples. Like every time I bring the sun, I'm like, yeah, I brought you the sun today. Ha ha ha. Lame joke, but I bring the rain probably more often than not. I do. Yeah, I've washed out some. Not me personally, but I've had some absolute washout destination weddings for sure.
That always does suck, doesn't it? Because you do think at least it's it's a guarantee it's going to be nice weather. And
I mean, I just feel bad. I just feel bad for the couples. It's like you say, like that's definitely. I mean, that's got to be high on why they pick somewhere like the south of France or the Med. To get married and then to kind of, basically have, everything to just be like a sort of a wedding in Yorkshire in December. It's not great.
As I say, my first one was in south of France, and they'd looked at the historical weather data for the past 13 years. On that date, it had been pure sun, and then literally on the wedding, it was outdoor ceremony. It was fine, and then literally halfway through the ceremony, it just poured down, and everyone had to get up and go into a bar.
All the local villagers are like running outside taking pictures because they've never seen rain before, and the wedding. running the opposite direction.
But did that go well? Were you more stressed for destination one or not? No, I just
No.
you don't get stressed about anything. Do you what? Actually, that's a good question, Andy Gaines. What do you get stressed or nervous about anything?
Yeah, I tell you what, actually, let's like historically, no, never. But these days, more and more. And I think it's getting old. You know, not to like start being like boring and serious, but I think like the last year or two definitely getting a bit more anxious about things in general.
Really?
Which is like, I think so. Whereas before, like, I've always been pretty chilled out and laid back about stuff, and life's always been great and c'est la vie. It's all good. Whereas,
why do you think that is getting older?
I don't know. I don't know if it's just middle age or impending mortality. Hopefully not that impending, but I think just
I agree. I think
like
that.
Parents are all getting older. Like like the longer you live, the more stuff happen. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, no, I do get it, and I'm feeling similar as well. Actually, I think the mortality thing is a big issue. Like my dad has been like ill recently, really very breathless. He was in hospital yesterday and stuff, and that just makes you think. Well, obviously about him, but also about so many things, about life in general and stuff. It's
man, like I could, same stories basically, and it's I don't know what it is, but it's I've definitely found that it's stuff that wouldn't have bothered me before now stresses me out a bit, and yes, I mean with destination weddings, no, that didn't really, they never really stressed me out. I mean the logistics can be a bit stressful, but not really.
You're all right with driving on the other side of the road?
Yeah, mostly. I'll tell you what, I always find it easy driving on the other side of the road, but when I come back, because when you're abroad, right, like you're really attuned to like driving on the other side of the road, like you reminding like stay on the right, or whatever it is. But then when I come back, there's a few times when I've come back from shooting destinations, or I've been away a lot with destinations. There was a few where I did like 2/3 of my weddings abroad, and so you'd come back and and there was one time I left a wedding in England, having spent a lot of time abroad, and I started driving on one side and I was like, shit, this is the wrong side of the road. Moved to the other side. And then I was like, no, this is the wrong side of the road. And legit for like 2 minutes driving down this luckily quiet country lane, I just couldn't work out what side of the road I needed to be on. I was just kind of like, what the fuck do I do? Like, should I just hedge a bet and just pick a side and hope for the best?
That's scary.
And then a car was coming, and this car was luckily far enough away that I could see it. I was like, right, he seems to be on the correct side. I'm going to, So
it would have been funny if he was on the wrong side as well.
Exactly. He was having the same problem.
Yeah.
Too many destination weddings. But no, so I use like, it's weird because I feel super fortunate. Like I've shot loads and loads of destination weddings, and certainly back in the day, it felt good doing them. But again, it's a kind of, it's an external mark, because it's almost like for years, you start shooting weddings and you want to get better, and there's always, you set yourself a new bar for what these external kind of markers for what is good, and making a shot that looks like this, winning this kind of award, shooting a destination wedding. And so every time you tick one of those off, you kind of give this little, like, you get a little high five, pat on the back, because you've achieved another thing. But then obviously they're kind of external. So after a while, they're like, that's, you realize that those external validations aren't that important, and so definitely felt good doing them for that reason early on. And now obviously you're going to sound ungrateful, because obviously people still want to shoot and enjoy shooting abroad, but the more you do it, the less the appeal kind of, the novelty wears off, I suppose, and so not that I sound like an ungrateful dick, because I don't.
No, you don't sound ungrateful at all. No, it's just.
I'm really humble and glad of all the amazing experiences I've had and the traveling and stuff, but certainly now, like, the appeal is maybe less than it once was.
Yeah, I totally get that. I think getting older and having a family as well, and being away from the kids, that's quite a big issue. Unless, have you ever made any of your destination weddings like a family holiday as well?
Yeah, loads. We've try and do that the most, really. So,
easier way to get into the country as well.
Yeah, there is that. So we've done loads of great stuff with the kids. Like we went to New Zealand and
Morocco, for a wedding as well.
Yeah.
Morocco, that's cool.
In France a couple of times, in Italy, and So it's been mega in that regard, to be fair. But again, not to sound like a bit like party pooping. For me as well, like the whole like the environment travel thing, I think is something that weighs in my mind now. So I feel like just pointlessly flying around the world when you don't really need to. It's definitely something that
I guess
I'm kind of conscious of now. You know,
I guess
it's
so.
hard,
But those experiences you've given your kids though as well. We're going to like New Zealand, Morocco and stuff that maybe you wouldn't have done without the weddings. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, there's been loads. I mean, yeah. There's been like more than I can remember really. Which and you're right. That has been amazing, and it's been good for them. But definitely just the whole. Yeah, they're great, but I'm definitely not doing as many. Yeah, definitely not doing as many as I was. What about you? You still shoot abroad a bit, right?
Not many. Yeah, not many like you as well. I've done less and less. I just got one this year in France. I only just booked recently, and we're gonna make like a family road trip of it. Although I'm not like confident like you. I'm driving on the wrong side, man. I'm so scared, but it'll be fine. I think we're gonna drive. We might go to. I'm not told our kids yet, but I think we'll go to Euro Disney on the way. Make a proper holiday.
The dream. They just get Oni to drive. She can drive, can't she?
Yeah, no, I think I will.
She's listening to this.
You know what? She listens to about the first 10 and then she's not listened to any more of the episode.
Great.
She has enough of me at home. She doesn't need to hear me for another.
Yeah, the last thing she needs. Yeah,
that's right.
I can give it a. Yeah. No, we went to France this year with the kids for exactly that, for a wedding.
Oh, cool.
Did you drive? Van down. Drove all the way down.
That's perfect, isn't it?
With a camper van, it is really good. But it was weird because the wedding was amazing. We actually had to take our kids to the wedding.
Right, because gate crash.
The plan was that we were going to stay with some friends who got a house near in the same region, but that didn't work out time wise and stuff. So we ended up like about 2 weeks before the wedding, I had to kind of sheepishly call the bride and be like, "Hey, so would you mind if we brought 2 feral children to your wedding?
You got a crash."
yeah, because you'll need one. Yeah, no. But it worked out. It worked out all right. It was good.
That's nice.
So,
nice that they're at the wedding as well, and Abigail as well.
Well, she was filming. We started offering video for the last few years, and she was filming. So we were both working at the wedding, and the kids were literally just left to their own devices in a camper van in a field. We were like, all we need is somewhere we can park the van that's not in the sun in the south of France, and they'll be fine.
Well, that's good that they could. That's cool, man. That's really good.
Yeah, no, it's good. I really like that. Like, I've got a lot of friends, wedding photographer friends, who are very much like they don't like the idea of having the stress of the family there, or having their holiday ruined by a wedding, or having their wedding ruined by a holiday, one or the other. Whereas, it's great. Just
Oh, that's good. That's good to know, because I've never been able to do that before, actually. So I've not done as many destinations as you, but I've still never had really the opportunity to take them all away. Because I think my kids are a bit younger. It's been a bit trickier and stuff. So, so I'm looking forward to doing that.
Nice. Yeah, you'll have the best time, man. You'll have a good time.
Did you go did you use the Eurotunnel or did you go ferry or?
Yeah, Eurotunnel. Is this basically just sending into like holiday tips for you?
Yeah. I want to know about this. Yeah. And do you exit like virtually straight onto the motorway and stuff?
Have you never taken the Channel Tunnel?
No, I never have. No,
it's great, mate. Couldn't recommend it more. No, it's, you drive straight onto the thing and you drive out and you basically just leave and get straight onto the motorway and you get out. Yeah, it's good.
Okay. So you sit in your car like while you're in the tunnel? Yeah.
We're literally talking about it. People could probably Google it. You could probably Google this. Yeah. I'll tell you anyway. Yeah, you can get out. So you basically just park your car in a. You drive onto the thing and it's just this big open. It's like being in the back of a big truck or something, And you get out of your car, but you're supposed to stay with your vehicle. And there's toilets if you walk like the entire length of the train through all the carriages, which is just like a long row of parked cars in the middle of a thing. But it's only like 20 minutes, and you get out.
Oh, it does sound good. Yeah, that sounds
great.
Cool. Well, thank you for that. That's good.
Perhaps in the notes of this podcast, you could put my affiliate link for the shuttle thing, and I don't have an affiliate link for the shuttle.
No, that's funny. Yeah. Okay, that's all good, man. Thank you for that. That's all good. Okay, man. So we mentioned it earlier, and so obviously, as well as being an awesome photographer yourself, you're also one of the co-founders of 9 Dots. So so a community education and training for photographers, and you also host the annual gathering, which is amazing. I've been to everyone. It's so good, man.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about, for maybe the one person who's not heard of 9 Dots, what can you tell us more about it, how you came to start it, and I don't know how things are going with it now, because you're making a bit of a change of direction this year with the gathering, aren't you, as well? I've not got my notes, my plug notes. No. So 9 Dots is exactly what you just said. It's like an educational community for wedding photographers, really, and it was started. Like I've been doing it long. We started in 2015, I think. Yeah, so that's like I've been doing it longer than not. Well, as a photographer, so it's weird. And
Yes, so originally originally we just kind of offered workshops and events like the gathering, like a conference in effect. That's not a conference. And also we offer kind of online, there's online education and the online community, and we've got online like courses and online content and online workshops and all that kind of stuff, just to make all photographers around the world better people and better photographers. Amen. Yeah.
Very good. Do you think that might be the reason why it's harder for us to get bookings, is because the overall quality? It's your fault we're doing 9 dots. You've raised the level of photography.
That's what someone was saying. They're like, man, you shouldn't have told all these people how to get good. I was like, no, it's good. No, I don't mind it. And we've always kind of preached this at 9 dots, is like, a rising tide lifts all ships. And so although it is just like marketing speak, I genuinely believe it. It's like if we as a community empower each of us to become better and the best that we can, then not only does our work as a group get better, which forces us each to kind of push our own work and to make better art and to be better at our craft, which is good from that side of things, but it also means that the industry as a whole can kind of push the bar up in terms of how much the industry is worth and how much people charge. And so
that's true.
If we can get to a state where everyone who shoots weddings can charge twice as much as what they used to do, then it means that we can all charge twice as much as what we used to do, and we can improve the perceived value of wedding photography. And that's only good for everybody, So I try and tell myself that when my bookings are down.
Yeah.
I try and consult, but no, it's true. And to be fair, like the community, because you've been to the event and you've been to 9 dots, and so it is about education, and it's about sharing ideas as photographers and best practices and things. But ultimately, like, the community element, certainly with 9 dots, is the thing that, man, I'm so proud to be involved with it, and it's given me like some amazing joys and times of my life, really. So it's been awesome in that regard, even if not for nothing else. So yeah, it's good.
Oh, it's so cool, man. What you've created there is so awesome. It really is. As I say, I've been lucky enough to be to every gathering, and each one has just been brilliant. And as you say, the community you've built around it, and it's just, it's
good. It's just like to know that you've got that genuinely caring and supportive community of people that are generally like got your back. And there's been some amazing kind of like stories and experiences of people and the community like stepping in to help people who have been in difficulties in different ways. And it's just great. It's really something I'm really, really proud to be like part of. So it's good.
That's really cool, man. How do you find running it, and alongside, full-time wedding photography as well? It must be tough. It's tough, isn't it?
Fucking stressful, mate.
Yeah.
It's good, but it is hard. And I mean, you may feel the same with what you're doing. It is kind of hard juggling those different things, and you've got your wedding photography baby that I've kind of built for more than 12 years now, like, that I'm trying to keep going and adapt and evolve and keep moving, but that's obviously like a totally different beast, working like business to customer like we are with our clients and our couples, than say 9 dots is, where I'm trying to do like, in effect, business to business, running something for other people. So it's from a boring business point of view, it is kind of hard to spin all those plates all the time. And obviously we get really busy with weddings part of the year. And so the ball gets dropped at 9 dots sometimes. And then other times 9 dots requires loads and loads of attention. So we do that, but then the ball gets dropped with my wedding work. And it's hard, but it's super rewarding. And I love it. And I love the variety and all the rest of it. But it's tough for sure. Yeah.
I totally appreciate that. And I mean, because you have, obviously one of the biggest things about 9 dots is that annual gathering. So, I with Reportage, I have the Christmas party, but I don't have that big kind of conference, that huge event. Obviously I'm kind of partnered with Doc Day, but I'm just partnered with them. They do it all. And it's their idea. It's still their baby.
That's why you're wise. That's why you're so wise.
But I mean, it must be so stressful actually having that physical event, which is, it must have, so it must have such high costs involved with it. It must be so stressful every year.
Yeah, it is. Like everything you just said is basically, I mean, it's worth it every time, but it definitely goes through stages of where, in the run up to it, when we're doing it, there's definitely the whole, this is the last time, we're never doing this again. This is never, that's it. We are done. And then instantly that's replaced with, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Next year, let's do 5. Definitely go through all the emotions. And yeah, it is one of those things. So it's good. But I think, I just feel, and I know Rahul feels the same about Rahul Conan, who I run it with. He feels the same. It's like like the reward is definitely worth it. It's just a great event and community to be part of. So I think.
Oh yeah.
Seems so cheesy, but like the that reward is kind of worth it. Really, it's good. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to be able to know that we've helped make. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. It made a difference. It made a difference to people's photography, but it made people's different lives as well, and their friendships. And I hope so. Like, yeah. Oh, definitely. Well, 100%. Yeah, 100%. And
awesome.
As I say, I've been to more, and they've all just been just amazing. I just love it. And tell us about. So, every year the gathering has been in London, but it's somewhere different this year, isn't it?
Yeah. So we've done it in London every year, but then just because a change is as good as a rest, and because we really like making work for ourselves, but also because people have said like 4 days in London's pretty expensive and hard to get to, and blah blah. So yeah, we've moving to Leeds this year for this November, which is going to be amazing. Like the lineup's great. Like we always try and get a good diverse kind of lineup of photographers and presenters, but yeah, and so it's looking like it's going to be really good. And moving north for the year, we'll see how it goes, and then maybe next year, who knows? But
awesome. I'm looking forward. I think, obviously I love bounce. I love table tennis, but it'd be cool to be in a fresh place as well, a different city. I think it's cool. It's a smaller train drive for you, a smaller train journey.
A little, much easier travel for me. Everyone else is going to have really struggle, but it's good. I'm really happy.
I think for me down in Cornwall, it's a bit similar, Leeds to London.
To be fair, mate, everywhere's far from you though. So.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. But no, it's good. And I think one of the things, because you were there this year, and one of the one of the speakers from this year who was talking, a guy, Australian photographer called Ollie Sansom, when he was speaking, he was talking about the power of kind of getting together as a community and bringing ideas together and sharing. And he brought up this thing about this festival he'd heard about called Fuck the Bands Festival, where I think they put a festival on for a couple of years and they got bands in, and it was really great. But they kind of realized that beyond the bands, like what was really great was just bringing the people together who had this shared passion of this kind of music. And so then they just put the festival, then they turned it into the Fuck the Bands Festival. So they put a festival on with no music, and they found that everyone still came, and it was still the best time of everyone's lives.
That's cool.
And so with the 9 Dots thing, it's like, we ummed and ahed about moving it, and we and ahed about the speakers, and obviously the speakers are super important, but ultimately, like you've said, all that matters is getting the people together and having a great, sharing ideas and having a good time together and being there for each other. And so almost that element is the most important thing. So you could almost do that anywhere in any form and it would still be great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I totally get that. Yeah. Awesome, man. And oh, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be so good. And people listening now, I'll obviously include a link through to 9 Dots on this Andy's podcast page on this repertoire. So do go along. You got to come along. It's always been a bloody brilliant event. So good. So
yeah, cheers, man. Yeah. It will be good. It will change your life for the better.
For the better, yeah.
but possibly for the worse, just for the day after, but then the better.
Oh, yeah, man. That hangover on the train coming home is always the worst. It's worse, yeah.
When you're getting old like us.
I know. So true. At least I can doze on the train. I'm good at sleeping on public transport. I'm good at that. Yeah.
Really? Do you know one of my only skills though?
I have done. Yeah, I remember going to an all-nighter in Rockworld in Manchester. So I was coming back at like 6:30 in the morning, and I woke up on the bus coming back into Manchester because I'd missed my stop and the bus was coming back. But yeah.
Oh, gutted.
You've done that though, haven't you? You've done that, haven't you?
Oh, mate, I've had a few things. Well, no, the worst thing for me, so like we go to London for like 9 Dots days or parties or meetups or whatever, always end up drinking too much. And then for me, like there's always like a last train back at like 10 o'clock or whatever, which goes to York in a couple of hours.
Oh, yeah.
But if I fall asleep then, the next stop's Edinburgh. And you don't want to wake up at Edinburgh at like 1 a.m. Like in the cold north of Scotland, like cold and yeah. So that's been. But now I've had a few terrible ones. Actually, the worst one ever there was when I went to way up north. And I can't remember. I've been to the Way Up North conference, which moves around Europe, and I've spoken there a couple of times and been as a guest at that a couple of times as a punter. But one time from there, like the best, cheapest flight back was like, when it was like the 6 a.m. flight, the first flight back the morning after the party. And so I reasoned that like, I'll go to the event, then I'll go to the party. And when the party finishes at 2, I'll just, go to the airport. It'd be fine. Just get straight on the flight. But I ended up getting a bit too carried away at the party. And literally like my last memory of the actual event is like being in the party. And then I kind of came to like in the security like of like Manchester Airport, and I've got no recollection of the entire flight.
Oh my!
So I don't know. It's absolutely I can't remember getting to the airport. I can't remember getting through security. I can't remember getting on the plane. I can't remember being on the plane. I've just kind of my next vivid memory of that thing is like being in Manchester Airport, and I'm like, how the fuck how did I even get back? I was like, how did I even manage it? And then the worst thing is that so I was in Manchester Airport, like just off my head, completely ruined, like. It was at like 8 a.m. or whatever after the flight had landed. And then as I was getting on the train, I bumped into a previous wedding couple who were going to an holiday. And so then I had to suddenly like switch my game face on and be like, hey guys, great to see you again. How's it going? What are you doing here? And yeah, it was horrendous.
Oh man, that does sound horrendous. That's like a nightmare, that is.
I can't recommend that.
I've still got some more photography questions, but let's do some quick fire kind of random other ones as well, because I like this. This is really good. Do it. Yeah, okay. So semi quick fire. It doesn't have to be like one word, but okay. So, but as a kid or a teenager growing up, did you ever have any celebrity crushes?
Oh my word. Supposed to be quick fire.
Yeah,
Jet from Gladiators.
She was definitely one of mine. No.
No, nothing that springs to mind.
Really? Well, that's cool, man. I used to have like a picture of Ulrika Johnson in my school diary as well.
Nice. Yeah. No, I was like talking before. I was really into like climbing when I was a kid, when I was a teenager. Before I was into climbing, like rock climbing, and before that, fishing. So literally, the posters on my walls were of like ripped, skinny men. With like a vest,
holding a big fish,
or holding a big pike. So yeah, that's the sort of things I had on my wall.
That's funny. That is funny, man. I did also have like a big Kurt Cobain kind of poster on my wall. Actually, yeah, went big through Nirvana.
He'd be a good crush.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with Kurt Cobain.
And whilst on the subject of music, can you remember the first record or CD or tape that you ever bought, or one of the first ones?
I don't know if I bought it, but I was out. I got Queen's Greatest Hits, number 1, volume 1 on CD. That was the first CD I ever got.
Ah, that's cool.
I don't think I bought it with my own money, but I got hold of it. So that was like, yeah, I got it.
Nice. Have you ever made any really memorable mistake at a wedding?
Yeah, the worst one was when I got dog poo all over a bride's dress, and they had to cut the dress out just to remove the dog poo.
Oh, right, from like a portrait shoot.
Yeah.
Oh man, actually, that is pretty bad.
It was dreadful. It was a vintage like 1920s dress. So the wedding was in Oslo, and she actually went to Italy to buy this dress that she'd found, like a 1920s like beautiful like art, deco style, dress thing. And yeah, and we went to do some pictures, and she walked through some dog poo, and then it got on the dress, and then the groom tried to scrub it out, but it made it spread. And then they had to send the best man to get scissors to cut out this big patch of dress.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're laughing now, but at the time it was not great.
No, I bet. Were they all right with you, or were they blaming you? Because
luckily it wasn't exactly my fault. Like, it was more like it's boring story, but
it's not a boring story. It's people in a wedding dress is a bit different.
Yeah, no. So yeah, like it rained all day at this wedding, and we hadn't done any portraits. And I mean, like I don't know, people like I don't really do many portraits, but always it's nice to get at least a handful, like just to have 2 minutes to get some. And so it rained all day, and we'd not been able to get any. And it was this like urban venue in the middle of a city. And while they were eating the meal, I ran upstairs and I found this roof terrace that it had like a little rope across it, but it wasn't locked. So I lifted the rope up and I went up and I was like, perfect, we can get some shots on here. So as the sun was going down, I was like guys, look, I found this perfect spot for some pictures. We've not got any because it's been raining. Just come up on this roof terrace and we'll make some pictures. So we went up on the roof terrace and I was like, just go stand over there and have a cuddle. And I took some pictures. And when they were doing that, they were like, oh, we need to practice our first dance because it's our first dance in a minute. So they start, as often happens, they started practicing their first dance, swirling around this roof terrace. But what we hadn't realized at the time was that for some reason, some God-known reason, the owner of the venue or someone had been letting their dog use it as their, it was just, there was just shit everywhere and we just hadn't seen it. So all over this floor, there was just all this roof terrace. It was just dog crap. And so, and the end.
That's a good story though, like that.
They didn't blame me.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Because some couples could, they could, couldn't they? Yeah. So do you always check for poo now? Do you always check for poo?
That's my main thing. Yeah. I actually I bring an assistant with me now, just an eagle-eyed assistant, just to scout for shit on the floor. Yeah.
Always go to a wedding with a poo bag in your pocket.
Doggy bag. Yeah. Pooper slipper.
Okay. What does it mean to be successful to you, Andy? What does success mean to you?
Dude, just to be happy.
Yeah, I think
that's it now. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that's very important.
Like I said, 12 years ago, it would be to make pictures that look like, Fair Aristes and Jeff Newsom's, but now just to be happy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. What if anything bugs you about our industry?
Oh, mate, where do I start?
He's definitely weighing up what to say.
Yeah. There's long pauses that you'd have to cut out. I mean, there's nothing. I don't know. Lots of everything and nothing. It's too clear. Like a lot of the things that I think maybe people. I think the wedding photography industry has progressed a lot in the last few years, and certainly the people that I kind of spend my time with, say in Nine Dots community and those kind of circles, it's very good. It feels now that it's really good at self-regulating out all the bullshit bad stuff that maybe a few years ago was everywhere. You know what I mean? So the things that the moaning or the bitching or the or whatever, exactly, all those whinges, people seem to have kind of regulated themselves a lot. I think the one thing that I hate about the industry, which is not so much the industry, is more that is dealing with the fact that it feels beholden to marketing forces which don't necessarily have the industry's best interests at heart. Yeah. I mean, so like just super quick aside. These are supposed to be quick fire, right?
That's all right. It's good.
So super quick aside, so just to take one tiny little microcosm of that. At the minute, Instagram is kind of the platform du jour that people seem to be using to help generate business. That's a big thing, and obviously Instagram now is ever more promoting video as opposed to photo, and ever more promoting portrait images in a 16:9 ratio than anything else. And so there's nothing wrong with that per se, but if you extrapolate that out, if the only way that people are going to be experiencing media, i.e. like brides and future brides and the public, is through 16:9 portrait format video, that really limits the craft and of the media that we work in, or that have historically worked in, which is 3:2 landscape still photography, right? And so having to kind of being kind of beholden to that, not that you are, you know what I mean? Not that we are, but in a way it's like,
but semi are. Yeah. I mean, it feels like we have to dumb down our work for that kind of format. Right?
And so on the one hand, people might say, look, just play the game. Instagram wants a 16:9 portrait video, make them a 16:9 portrait video. It's like, well, yeah, fine. But what can you put in a 16:9 portrait video? There's not much you could put in it other than
portraits,
vertical shots of brides walking away into the sunset or walking back towards a camera. And so, from my observation of what's happening in the industry, the big thing now seems to be what's important is short videos or portraits in a video format of brides walking away from the camera. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. It is what it is. But there's this whole wealth of important, valuable craft which people can create and do create as photographers, which has got huge value to the people involved, way beyond a picture, a video of a bride walking away towards a camera. And, you know, that's kind of being lost a little bit.
Yeah,
you know?
I totally agree with you. I totally agree.
But then it is what it is, right? So, I mean, what you can just carry on, do your thing or whatever. And you know, it's hard because if people only share, you know, photographers, if their main thing is sharing their work on Instagram, then de facto their work becomes only that. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I don't know.
No, it's true. No, I totally understand.
So yeah, that's my short one-word answer.
Yeah, that's good.
10 minutes later.
No, I totally understand that. And it was, I mean, video wasn't a thing on Instagram, but when I started Reportage, I mean, it was still, Instagram was all about the portraits, and it still is really. And that was a reason of starting Reportage, trying to push back against that, you know.
Right, yeah.
It really was. But I mean, it's interesting with the video, is that, you know, with Abigail doing video now, how long has she been doing that? Was that, you know, did that start as did you purposely want to diversify and have like different income streams, or was it a passion anyway? You know, how did that kind of begin?
Do you know what? God, I don't know. I'm the worst guest ever. I just can't remember. I don't know. Like, it was something. It's one of the things is like, why don't? Because she used to be a teacher, and she worked like full time as a teacher. Worked far harder than I ever did, and then, but like lots of teachers, kind of started to get disillusioned with it, and quit basically back in 2016, and with the ability to then come and work on this business with me. And so she did that. And then it was more of those things that were like, maybe we could try this. Like, why not? Like, you know, she had no desire. She's not that into it. She had no real desire to do it, but it was more like we could give it a go. And it's just gone from there really. So now it's good. Like she probably does like 50% of the weddings maybe now.
Really? That you do? Yeah.
Yeah. So we work together, like maybe a bit under 50, but like a fair bit.
That's good knowing that. So about 50% of the weddings that you do, you know that you're going to kind of get on with the videographer on the day.
well, no. The opposite of that. No.
Do you ever argue? Do you work beautifully together, or do you?
No, we don't. It's all right. The thing that's difficult is, and she'll say the same, is that she kind of came into it totally as a total newbie, right? So it's not like a lot of photographers who have maybe shot weddings as photographers and so have this huge understanding of weddings and cameras and framing and everything. She literally came into it, knew nothing, you know? And so obviously, like, I'm always kind of, because I've shot so many weddings on the day, I'm always like one step ahead, really, certainly when she started. And so, yeah, there was a few things where it was like, I'd be like, no, stop, come over. And she was like, look, if you want to fucking do it yourself. If you think you're so good. And so we definitely have quite a few of them. But to be fair to her now, like, so she's been doing it on and off for like 2 or 3 years, and she's pretty handy. So it's actually quite good. And like, she knows what she's doing now. So I don't have to stick my oar in quite so much.
No, that's cool, man. That's cool. It's great that you can do it together. You know, obviously, I've said this before on the podcast, and I love owning to bits, but I just can't imagine like working with her like for a whole day. I don't know. I'm sure it'd be fine, but yeah, it's okay.
If you get Abigail on the next podcast, she'll probably say exactly the same to you. So I don't know, but yeah, it's great. I think it's like, it's awesome, and it's, you know, when I think back to like our family work-life balance, when I was doing this job full time, away every weekend, and Abigail was doing a job full time, away all the week. You know, it was pretty crappy. So we're mega fortunate that we could sort of say, let's just go all in on this. And yeah, it's good.
No, that's really cool, man.
It's working. I mean, as I say, she'd probably say different, but it's great. Yeah.
No, it's good. That's really good.
You guys.
Okay, man. Let's see. I've got a couple more questions. So I think this will be a penultimate one.
I'm going to be quick. I swear I'm going to be quick.
No, you don't need to be quick. It's just good. It's so good talking to you, man. It's so interesting. Really, really, really cool. But yeah, so you've won buckets of awards, loads of different organizations, including being, our Reportage UK #1 photographer of 2022 and second in the world overall, which is awesome, man. Congrats to that again. But the one I specifically wanted to ask you about today is being a rangefinder rising star back in 2014, because, rangefinder recently released their top 30 just before Christmas. Yeah. There's been a lot of attention about it all recently. So yeah, I just want to ask you about that. That award specifically, did it have an impact on you or your career? Do you remember,
it was It was a vintage year, wasn't it, Alan?
I'm not bringing it up for that reason, but no, I just find it,
Who else was in there that year?
I don't know. No, but it did have a big effect on me. So I wondered, did it have a big effect on you?
Do you know what? I don't know if it did, but that's interesting. You've said that. What effect did it have on you?
Well, honestly, I think it had a really big effect on me, like tangible as well. It did give me a big boost in confidence, maybe rightly or wrongly, it did give me a big boost in confidence. But then I felt like I just kind of tried to make the most of it. And that's when I started my, law school workshops and stuff. And then that doing the workshops helped my then photography career, and then it's helped starting Reportage. It all to me kind of seemed to snowball from then. So
that's fair. I mean, cool, that's interesting. I guess I would kind of say in some ways it had no effect whatsoever. Right, just to counter that, but also like tangibly, this is and this is what I've said when. Tangibly at the time doesn't mean fuck all, does it? I mean, realistically,
No, of course. No.
And I don't mean to denigrate the awards or anything, but really, like, I probably directly didn't probably book any weddings from it, et cetera, et cetera. But like you just said, I guess the cumulative effect of it, was. So for sure, like the rangefinder thing, it's a good willy wave, not actually.
Not actually.
It feels good. It's the ego is good, and again, so like you just said, I think. So I got rangefinder, and then about the same time, I got the TWAA. What's that one?
Did, didn't he? Overall UK photographer of the year.
So like those two at the same time, similar to you. Like I did a couple of workshops for the first time, and then we started doing 9 dots, and obviously within the industry, those kind of awards mean a lot to other photographers. So that, like you said, I guess there's clout there that you can leverage, for want of a better word. God, it sounds so corporate, doesn't it? But
I know it does, doesn't it? But this is a business as well. What we do,
100%. And so, I guess in those, but it's more it's just nice to, like I said, it's an external validation, but it's still a validation, right? So it's still always nice to nice to be recognized for stuff, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Plus, the other thing with those kind of awards is that I think for the first time ever, because obviously I'd spent years and years just being a musician bum, avoiding the real world, and then I kind of rolled into being a photography bum. I still feel like I'm just avoiding the real world. Do you know what I mean? I still feel like I'm avoiding doing a proper job. And so to get things like that, they're nice that I can actually go to my mum and dad and be like, "Look, mum, I've actually got a proper job." See, this is, I'm not just totally pissing my life away. I've got something here that says I'm okay. Yeah.
Did they roll their eyes when you went from like musician to photographer? Did they?
Maybe. Their mind rolled their mind's eye a little bit. Yeah, maybe. No, I don't know. I mean, they're awesome, and they've always been super supportive of. They're great. The legendary parents. They've always been mega supportive. But I think. It's as much that my mum can be like, "Ooh, Andrew's the best wedding photographer in the whole world" when she goes to a coffee mornings or whatever.
That's nice, though, isn't it? You're right. And you're right, though.
So funny, like, but no, I'm not. It's like,
but you are. You are to them. You are to them.
To my mum, I'm my mum's favourite wedding photographer, I reckon, for sure.
Oh, I hope so. I think I'm my mum's probably second or third favourite, but okay, that.
She said I was.
You're my mum's number one. That's funny. No, you're right though. That there aren't many industries like ours that you can get that kind of validation. I think so, and not just the awards, but even just like we get that validation or not when we put our work up, instantly on Instagram or Facebook. We get that kind of feedback, and then my wife is doing something like which is so important. important with like diagnosing autism in children, you know, and they don't get that kind of, you know, sometimes she gets lovely feedback, which she does, but they don't get that kind of instant feedback, and they're doing something so much more important. Yeah,
mate, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, that's it. You know, and it's weird because we get wrapped up in, you know, especially like both of us who taught a little bit, you get wrapped up in the importance of what you do and the craft of the photography and making it the best and doing it for the couples. But it's like, we're not curing cancer. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're just, we're making pictures for people to put on their walls and in a book. It's like, you know, and obviously there's an importance to it, but yeah, it's crazy. You know, you don't see like, you know, we had our bathroom done recently, and the plumber that came round, he wasn't like, yeah, I've been voted UK's top plumber, top 10 UK plumber. Like, it's just a guy going out and doing his work. And it's funny because, like, in a way I kind of, like, you know, I fully embraced that element of our industry. And I've from both sides, you know, I've embraced it as a photographer and as an industry with 9 dots. But at the same time, it is maybe that element of the industry that does stress. It doesn't stress me out, but you know, it's trying to keep up with that all the time. It's stressful. In a way, I wish it was just that we were all like jobbing plumbers and all you had was the yellow pages. And you just, you know, you like, they just, people found wedding photography and you did good work and you got recommended, which it is, I suppose, you know, that is an element of it. Yeah. You know, but if I'd love it if all we had to worry about was going out, doing a good job and, you know, getting recommended and continue to do good work, you know, and there is an element of that, but it can be like that. But there is this whole cloud of industry around us that is kind of distracting our attention all the time. Yeah, for good and bad, you know, for good and bad.
Yeah, but it's funny because we're both talking about it, but we're kind of part of that as well. Are we part of the problem then as well?
Yes, we are. Yeah. We're part of the solution and the problem at the same time.
But it's not funny actually talking about it now as running things like this. Is that it is quite, you know, some people love like both organizations, and some people are totally opposite and hate those kind of things. And yeah, I understand it. I understand it as well. And even you talking about it, then we have that kind of like that dialogue within us about it. It's a strange thing.
Yeah.
I know some people hate awards, vehemently hate awards. I understand that
for sure. Well. Yeah. And then same. But then like, you know, I guess it's all like good. You just don't want. I guess you're just not going to take any of it too seriously.
Yeah,
you know. At the same time, you've got to take some of it deadly seriously. You know, so, like we were talking about at the beginning, it's so serious that I'm going to stick around at a wedding till 1 a.m. in the morning when there's nothing happening, just because that's what I do. You know, and like, you know, it's weird. So I don't know, but like I say, like juggling those things all the time. It's just what you've got to do, I guess, or get used to doing that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, sorry, that was another not very quick fire answer.
No, that was a great answer though. Great answer. If it was all just back to the yellow pages, we'd do okay with both our A names, aren't we?
Exactly, mate. Yeah.
Or we could rebrand to like Aardvark Photography.
Aardvark. Yeah.
Okay, Andy. Honestly, it's been so good. It's been so natural. It's so really nice talking to you, man. And you're just so interesting and just been so good. So good. I've kept you.
Same, dude.
I've just kept you much longer than like virtually anyone else ever. This is going to be like the longest episode. And I'm not going to do any editing. It's all good. No need to do any editing. All good.
But that's good now because the few people that are still listening, they get to hear me share like the number one holy grail secret that I've been saving to the last golden nugget that I'm going to drop any second now. No, not really.
No, actually, no. There's actually one more question before the final one. I wanted to ask. Sorry, because it's a specific one about one of your images. So I wanted to ask you about this. So because one of my favorite Reportage Awards of yours is the yay balloon kiss shot. You know. Yeah. So if people haven't seen it, I'll include it on this episode's page on the website. So good to check it out. So it's a shot with a couple kissing on the left. It's in the ceremony, isn't it? It looks like the ceremony.
Yeah, it's like first kiss. Yeah.
Oh, it's the first kiss. So I thought it was, but I'm not. It's mental. But yeah, and then large in the foreground on the right, you've composed it so there's a balloon that has the word yay on it. So it's just awesome to have those elements together. It's so clever, man. Can you tell us more about that shot then? Do you remember capturing it?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, just like your bog standard, it sounds so dismissive, doesn't it? Your bog standard English wedding ceremony, but it was just it's a normal wedding ceremony. But they decorated the back with these balloons that said yay on them. And so, I mean, like one thing, like if someone wanted a tip, is like you're always on the lookout for just stuff when you're at the weddings that piques your interest. And so sometimes that can be super obvious, like a giant balloon that says yay. But even if it's less obvious, like whatever it is that you find that speaks to you and makes you think, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, follow that up with your camera and try and, you know, follow that instinct, if you like. And so with that, it was kind of obvious. And so as soon as I saw the balloons, and I was like, oh, you know, that would be cool to compose something like that. And then I thought, yeah, if I could get and just because of where they were stood, like I knew when they had their first kiss, it potentially would line up. But obviously that was kind of
though.
Yeah, it is. But so this is great. I would probably still have done it. But what happened was earlier on in the ceremony, when he was stood at the top and she walked down the aisle, and I was in place like right at the top, you know, by the registrar to get the shot of them coming down the aisle and things. When they came to the front and the people sat down and the ceremony was about to start, they turned to each other and had a kiss. So I got like a shot of a kiss.
Oh, that's cool.
Top,
yeah.
Right at the start of the ceremony. And as soon as I got that, I was like, boom. If I can then go all out on the first kiss shot. And if I fail to get the first kiss shot, I can just drop this one in as the first kiss shot and no one will ever know.
Yeah, put it at the end of the ceremony set.
except now I've told everybody. So, yeah, if you guys are listening, I'm sorry about that. But
no.
So I did that. And then, yeah, basically when it was going to be coming up for the first kiss, I went to the back and, yeah, composed it up and waited and followed all the things that you'll learn at any good for wedding photography workshop. Followed all the instructions and the rules that you're supposed to do, and got the shot.
Oh, but it's so awesome. I think it totally to get an amazing composition like that, such a storytelling image on such a big moment. That is such a big deal to get it on those kind of things. Even though, as you said, you'd got that kiss beforehand, it wasn't the first kiss, so it's still gutsy to do but
I guess so. But again, like, this is supposed to be quick fire, isn't it? But
no, it isn't. No, it's all right. It's fine.
You know, but photographers put a lot of emphasis on stuff, and I think as long as with your literature and your website that you communicate what you're about and how you roll, and then also even more so in like when you're having the pre-wedding consultations and chatting with couples before the day, if you explain to them like what's important to you and what you think, or you find out what's important to them. You know, photographers put loads of emphasis on stuff that I don't think is that important. You know, like maybe for these guys, like having quote unquote a picture of us kissing for the first time was super important. But I imagine maybe not. You know, a lot of people just want nice pictures of their wedding day.
Yeah.
You know, showcasing them and their family having a great time. And so, you know, even if you go for some of this if you go for some of these shots and mess them up and don't get them, it's most of the time it's not the end of the world, I think. And I think
that's true.
You know.
Yeah. And you've got to try at least, and you'll never, you know, if you want to do that kind of thing, you've got to at least try. Otherwise, you never know if you're going to get it or not. It's
exactly got to be in it to win it.
It is true though, and I think that's something that keeps me just really interested in this industry. Is this that I mean, if you're just turning up every day at a wedding and taking the same shots all the time, I don't think I could continue to do that. You know, we've got to keep it interesting for ourselves as well, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And like, again, like even a shot like that with the balloon one, like, so it worked out okay and it came off good. Worst case, if it hadn't worked out as good as it did, it would just be like a pretty average shot of them having a kiss from the back of the room. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's still fine. Like, it's still okay.
Yeah, it'd still be a funky composition, even if the yay had turned round a bit to have that kind of
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Or the couple had, you know, you couldn't quite see what was going on. I don't know. I think just having that communicating with your couples and just having, you know, getting, so long as you're all on the same page at the start of the day, once you know what that page is, you'll probably find there's loads of freedom to try stuff out or do things that maybe you might otherwise have shied away from, you know.
That's an important tip as well. That's cool. And people now listening, obviously you're listening because you just heard me say if you're listening, but do head to reportage.com. I'll include that photo that Andy just spoke about. It's very cool. Did you have a second shooter for that wedding, by the way? I mean, I just wondered. Like,
no second shooter
on your own as well. W.
Yeah. I don't really have second shooters that often, to be fair. Maybe like one or two weddings a year, you know, maybe that. But
I've never had one. Never, ever.
Ever?
No, never. No.
Not me. Why is that?
Oh, I don't know.
It's so goddamn good.
No. You know, I don't know. I think one of the reasons I have enough of my own awful photos to look at, you know, when I'm editing afterwards. So it probably make me feel really shit about myself that the second is like producing so much better work than me or something. I don't know. It's just the way I've always done it, innit? It's just find it.
Yeah. Say, I mean, to be fair, a lot of the time when I do have seconds, it's more just for like company, you know, like have a friend along and just just a bit of banter or whatever. Or
yeah. No, I get that. As an aside, I think when you mentioned the couple kiss straight away at the beginning of the ceremony, that's always a really good sign that it's going to be a good wedding, isn't it? I find when they kiss right at that moment, they're like they can't keep their hands off each other. I like that.
Yeah, it's good for sure. Yeah.
Okay, Andy. Sorry, I have kept you so long. So this is going to be
great.
Yeah, this is going to be my last question. And so you've been doing it for a long time now. You know, like really similar to me actually. It has been over a decade now, isn't it? Which is weird.
Yeah, it's a long time, eh?
It's quite long for even just doing a single industry these days as well. Though.
Yeah.
So would you have any advice for people who have been shooting for quite a long time? You know, maybe as long as us, who maybe are not so happy about maybe where their career is, or just feeling a bit disillusioned, or feel like they're doing the same thing. You know, how do you still keep your passion for it? Do you have any kind of advice for those people?
Man, I don't know, because I probably struggle with that as much. I struggle with that myself, I guess. You know, like,
yeah.
You know, I shoot a wedding and I think it goes well, and I'm on cloud nine, and I think I'm the greatest God's gift. But 90% of my weddings, I shoot them and it sucks, and it's hard work, and then you combine that maybe with, say, a few weeks of bookings not coming in, and it's very easy to start hating on the world. I mean, I would, if there are people who've been shooting for a while and are feeling like that, first thing I would say is get involved with like a community. Like,
which community, Andy?
Well, I would take a pick out of my top 2 favorite wedding photography communities. But no, like, say 9 dots for this reportage. Like, get involved with a community of people who are supportive, and join that with the as much open-mindedness as you possibly can, to be willing to learn new things and do some, switch things up. I mean, that's the main thing, but that's hard to do if you've been shooting a long time. I mean, I don't know.
No, that's good advice, though. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but
have you ever hit a kind of wall, like, creatively, or your business? Have you ever come to a point where you're almost like, oh, I just don't know, this is the thing for me? Carrying on. That's a big question. Sorry,
we're supposed to be wrapping up or positive.
And then dropping the biggest.
And then my dog died, and then I found out that
or just a creative wall. Have you ever hit?
Yeah, but no, because I think the creative thing is just bullshit. Like, I for years and years, like I said at the start when I started, I was striving to be creative. Like, and why was I trying to be creative? For the sake of being creative, it's like, because I wanted to make pictures to impress other people, right? Which is just bullshit. And so,
wasn't that your original kind of brand name? Weren't you Andy Gaines Creative?
I was, yeah, when I started, yeah. But the thing with that was, I think, was that just at the same sort of time, I was also, when I was coming from music, I would also be like, because I had Photoshop on a computer, I was always designing like posters and stuff, and artwork for gigs and promotional stuff. And so I was like, well, if I can make this little business that does all those things, then I can just do, so that kind of came from,
that makes
that's
sense.
Where the creative thing came from. But yeah, like, I think the creative, in some ways, the creative thing in wedding photography is, I mean, again, it makes us feel good about photographers, but I don't know whether, I don't think people should worry about not being creative, if you see what I mean. Like, for me, I found that the best way to like work myself out of any ruts is just to double down on being a great service provider as opposed to a great artist.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think, I've always argued with other wedding photographers about, like, are we artists or are we service providers? And, maybe we're both or whatever. But I would say we're definitely more service providers than we are artists. And I think if we approach our art from the point of view of being a service provider, you'll by definition make much better art, because you're making the art, like the motivation to make the art should be as the service. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so, like, abandoning these ideas of trying to be quote unquote creative for the sake of it, and just thinking, right, how can I knock it out of the park for the couple? What can I do to make great art for these people? And go all in on that. Not only will you do you free yourself up from having the stress of trying to be clever and creative, but you end up making better art for them, making work that's more important to them. And that then drives your business up, because then your business serves them better. And by extension, your business is more successful, because they want to do things like buy albums if you sell albums, or they want to they want more because you're giving them more, So yeah,
That makes total sense. Yeah. And that's great advice, man, as well. That's really, really good. Yeah. Really great. The whole thing's been great, man. Honestly, it's been so good talking to you. Thank you. Really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
It's been
man.
so good.
Same.
Really,
So good.
really good.
Most fun I've ever had on a morning speaking on a microphone.
Yeah, that's niche, but yeah, I'll take it. As I say, people listening now, do head to thisreportage.com. I'll include the reportage that Andy spoke about and links through to 9 Dots. Really do join 9 Dots. It's so good. And come along to the gathering. Amazing event each year. I've just loved it. Are you still going to have a bit of table tennis in Leeds?
Yeah, dude. The ping pong tournament is the thing, isn't it? Ping pong tournament.
Yes.
Don't worry, you know that you'll probably win again. But that's fine.
No, I just love it, man. I love table tennis. I love it. It's so good.
We love you for that. So that's okay.
Dude, I don't know when I'll see you again next. Probably might be the gathering.
Maybe at 9 Dots, or if not before, then maybe before. Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully. And yes, dude. Honestly, so good. Thank you for talking to me, and I hope you have a good season ahead.
Yeah, and you too, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
A real pleasure. Thanks, man. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the 123rd episode of the This Is Reportage podcast. Really great to have kicked off the new year by talking to Andy. So many great topics spoken about there and so wisely. Top stuff. Head to thisreportage.com for a link to his website to see the Reportage Award he spoke about, and also a link through to 9 Dots. And you really should come along to the gathering in Leeds this year. Always such fantastic events. Really love it. Really, really great stuff that he's made there. We now have 123 episodes of the podcast available where we speak to wedding and family photographers from all over the world. If you like this episode, delve into our back catalogue for lots more. If you're not a member of This Reportage or This Reportage family, check out all the benefits of joining us, including an unlimited number of images on your profile, 60 individual award and 18 story award entries per year, invites to our physical meetups and parties, exclusive discounts, hours of educational videos featuring tips and advice from some of the world's best photographers, and much more too. Submissions for our first awards collections of 2023 are closing soon. The deadline is the same for both sites. Submit by 23:59 GMT on the 24th of January 2023. It's a whole new awards year, and you have the best chance to be on our top 100 photographers in the world and top storytellers in the world list for 2023 if you enter the very first collection, if that's your thing. No poses, nothing staged. This is Reportage. And this is bye for now.